poem. What shall I do?
What will you do? Is this a question? Show that you know the poem and remind them what a poem it is. Well, you know what you must do. Go, confront the problem, fight, win, and call me when you get back, darling. I enjoy our visits.
Welcome to the Poetry Dojo,
Where we learn to know our poems.
and learn to wield them to fight and win.
Today we are considering The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost.
Robert Frost was an American poet. He was born in 1874 and died in 1963. He is, again, as I think we've mentioned in other conversations about Robert Frost, he's known for his realistic depictions of American rural life. And I know him better from the poem Mending Wall, which had a spot that I was required to memorize. It started with the line, something or there is that doesn't love a wall. In any case, this is the poem we're looking at today. The Road Not Taken is one of his best-known poems.
Yes, he wrote it in part in good-natured fun of his friend Edward Thomas. They would often walk together, and Edward Thomas could not decide which way to go, and he would always rue the path that they had not taken because he was sure that they had missed something lovely by taking the path that they did. So there's some quite profound meditation, I think, on the choices we make and how they affect us as people. But it's also just
Poking fun at a friend. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood. And sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves, no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere, ages and ages hence, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. There's something in the American spirit that always wants to take the road that is less traveled.
Mm-hmm.
I
The
have
spirit
a
of
feeling
adventure and the frontier.
something about that. The individualism, because I suppose that, in other cultures, particularly Eastern cultures, there would be more the emphasis of staying on the path more traveled.
It's more traveled for a reason.
Yes.
The bears don't attack that one.
Other people know what they're doing. It is of note that in the poem that of the ways that he's describing, the 2 paths, it's not much difference between them. Perhaps just a slightly less traveled on one than the other, but they both pretty much looked the same.
Mm-hmm. And that's the real irony of the poem, is there's really not a difference. And yet we feel as though our choices are weighed in the balance, and it's very important that we choose the correct one, and that we choose the one that is most individualistic. There's an association in the poem between our identity, that I am one traveler, and I cannot travel both these paths. Our choices shape who we are, or perhaps indicate who we are. Perhaps it made all the difference to the individual that he made the choice of taking the less traveled, or what he perceived to be the less traveled road. But he's telling it with a sigh. There's still regret. There's not a cut and dry solution to what he should have done.
There is no certainty.
No, it's a whole lot of irony and what might have been, and knowing that you can never know.
We do get the line, the 2 lines, I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
How?
How? What was the difference? Is this a metaphor for his choices in life where he says that his decision to do one thing or another, he chose the least common path to take, and that made all the difference for him? We don't know.
Is it a little bit of sarcasm?
Perhaps just a bit, especially given the knowledge that it is written in part as a poke at his friend. Because fundamentally, two friends walking together, they both end up at home at the end.
Yeah.
And clearly, it did not separate them. So when presenting this to judges, the American and Western individualistic theme is probably going to be the one that the judges most quickly grab onto. And so leaning into that a little bit will raise the poem probably in the heart of the judges above the poke in the ribs of a good friend to something deeper and speaking to the heart of the American or Western speaker.
I feel like we would be remiss if we left this poem without considering Heraclitus. Can we step in the same river twice? Or by the time we get back to that divergence of the roads in the wood, have we become a different person? Have the roads become different roads because of what's happened since?
This almost is a whole ship of Theseus.
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
Robert Frost leaves us to guess.
Indeed.
Thank you for tuning in. This has been a Diecast Media Group production. Please recommend us to friends, family, relations, but not your competitors. Feel free to email us with any questions at poetrydojo@diecastmediagroup.com, and tune in next time for another exciting episode and another fine poem.